Thanks very much everyone for coming this afternoon. I want to say a few words about the closure of Holden in Australia. Today's a shocking day for Holden workers, and the first thing I want to say is that we are very concerned for their futures, that we are thinking of them and their families, particularly in the lead up to Christmas. This is terrible news for them to get, and that we will do everything that we can to support and assist them. It's a shocking day for Holden workers. It's also a terrifying day for other auto industry workers. We know that component manufacturers will be affected by this. We know that there are all sorts of industries that support auto manufacturing in Australia that will be affected by this, including research and development, logistics and so on. All of them will feel this. It's also a very frightening day for Toyota workers, seeing the fate of fellow auto industry workers, and of course they would be nervous about their futures as well. It's very unusual to see one decision, like the government's decision to rip $500 million out of this industry, that has such huge ramifications for Australia. We're talking about probably 200,000 jobs that rely on the auto industry here in Australia, and this one decision to rip out $500 million has extraordinary ongoing effects for the industry. It was Joseph Benedict Chifley, as my friend Nick Champion said, it was Joseph Benedict Chifley who watched the first car roll off the production line at Fisherman's Bend. And it'll be his namesake, it'll be Joseph Benedict Hockey, who sees the last car roll off the production line. And it's unfortunately a decision of government that has made it so. Treasurer Hockey dared Holden to withdraw from Australia, and he got his way. We saw yesterday in the Parliament Treasurer Hockey make an extraordinary show, manning up, puffed up, shouting, arguing, making a point of daring Holden to leave. Well, they've left. We had evidence from Mike Devereaux yesterday that there had been no decision made, that Holden hadn't decided about its future in Australia. We had the Treasurer goading them to leave Australia, and on top of that, the Acting Prime Minister writing a letter that Holden and anyone who had seen the letter would think was designed specifically to be released for public consumption, and indeed that was the conclusion that Holden drew. Instead of picking up the phone, instead of decent dialogue, instead of an adult approach that would keep these vital jobs in Australia, we had the Treasurer and the Acting Prime Minister goading and daring daring Holden to pull out. Today, the response of the Acting Prime Minister is that at least Holden workers now have certainty. Well, it's a very curious definition of certainty. Yes, they've got the certainty that they'll lose their jobs. Other auto industry workers have the certainty that there'll be other job losses in the auto industry. Workers at Toyota and in other related fields have the fear that they will be next, that they will be the domino that falls next. It's a very curious definition of certainty. This government said that they would be a government of no surprises and no excuses. And today, in question time, we had an absolute litany of excuses for why Holden's made this decision to leave. We had Christopher Pyne saying that this was a decision made months ago in the United States. It's only just been announced today for reasons he would not say, but it's a decision made months ago. We had Christopher Pyne also saying that this decision was nothing to do with the federal government. It's an absolutely extraordinary claim when it's been clear from everything that Holden has said that they were waiting for a clear signal from the Commonwealth Government about what the government would do for the future of the auto industry here in Australia. It's extraordinary to say that this is nothing to do with the government when we've had Holden negotiating, holding back, seeking to talk to the government, making clear that they hadn't made a decision. We've had a Productivity Commission inquiry that's kicked off at any decision from the government about auto industry assistance to sometime in the future. For now, the government to wash their hands of this and say it's nothing to do with them. This is a tragic day for Holden. It's a tragic day for the auto industry. It's a tragic day for manufacturing in Australia. I think most Australians would regard it as a tragic day for Australia. It's extraordinary to see a Commonwealth government drive the car industry out of Australia.